You are recording, sir. Good to go whenever.
Welcome to the Yappin podcast. I'm your host, Rafa, and let's start yapping. So today, the New England Patriots, last game of the season, decide after the game to fire their head coach, Jerod Mayo, after one season. And I think, in my opinion, this is a bad firing. And I'll let you guys watch ESPN and Ryan Clark cry about it's his black in Boston and New England and blah blah blah. That's going to be his excuse. And I don't know what the excuse is why they fired him. Did they feel that he did a bad enough job? Was he worse than the roster? I don't think so. Um, did he overachieve the last week of the season? For sure. But the Bills didn't play anyone. Um, but at the end of the day, for some of these teams to hire these coaches for 1 year and then fire them when they have a rookie quarterback is it sets, I feel like it sets the quarterback back a year. Like it sets them back, I want to say. I don't know, Chicago had this problem, and it's not that they fired their coaches they fired their coaches too late going in with rookies as Justin Fields, Mitchell Trubisky, now Caleb Williams. I think New England pulled the trigger too early. Um, if he only had 1 year, then you should have never hired him and maybe let him know that beforehand. I don't understand the firing there. Would you think you were a 7-win team? Because you have a 2-win roster. You have no weapons on offense. You have a quarterback that you drafted, which is he played really well, I thought. So I think it's a bad move by the Patriots. Where do they go from here? All the Patriots fans are already, Ben Johnson. Listen, let's be realistic. Ben Johnson is leaving. If he leaves the Detroit Lions, which everyone thinks he will, it's not to the New England Patriots. I would be shocked if it's the New England Patriots. What are you going to the New England Patriots for? Because you have Drake May? So you'd rather go and coach Drake May with nobody instead of Caleb Williams with two really good receivers and a pretty good defense, or the Dallas Cowboys, which I still believe that is where he will end up. There's plenty of jobs. The Giants might open up. So tomorrow's Black Monday in the NFL, which is basically where head coaches get fired. Usually the owners don't waste any time and shoot right away. And I'll give you a couple I think should be fired. Peterson from the Jags, I think he should go. Last year they struggled. They finished the season terribly. They were horrible. This year they were atrocious. First year was good. They came back and won that game against the Chargers at 27-0 down, I think, in the playoffs. But after that, they've regressed. So Peterson, I think, should be one. You already have an opening in New Orleans. The Raiders, do they move away from Antonio Pierce? I think they should, based on what he's done on the sideline. I mean, I know all the Raider fans, and we covered this on the Two Nobodies, and Eddie's gotten shit from a bunch of people on his post, which I think is ridiculous, the comments, because Eddie is been a Raider fan probably longer than most of you who are commenting, and he's a realistic Raider fan. And realistically, if you watch the Raiders this season, you can clearly tell that he is not an NFL head coach. In my opinion, he's not a head coach, period. Not in the NFL, not in college football.
I disagree with that.
I think his clock management is terrible. I think his in-game coaching and managing, I don't think is very good. He doesn't know when to punt, or he's undecisive. And you can't be undecisive when you're a head coach. You need to listen. Here I'm punting. Here I'm going for it. Here I'm kicking, etc. I should be calling a timeout here. Listen, sometimes we see guys that have been in the league coaching for a long time that make those mistakes. But in my opinion, I don't think he's an NFL head coach. And then you see a lot of the comments, oh, he's a motivator. That's fine. He's a motivator. He can maybe get the guys up. But guess what he's not helping you do? Win the game in the game. He's not able to win in the 60 minutes. And people are going to say, oh, their roster was shit and this and that. Listen, you let go of a running back, and we can beat the Raiders drum. Yeah, the running back, you couldn't re-sign him. You had Devontae, you had Max Crosby. You went outside to spend a bunch of money on a defensive tackle. You spent a bunch of money. Well, you spend money on the defensive tackle, and your defense. When he finished last year, everybody was so excited because the defense had played so well, and we just need to fix a couple things here and there. Well, at the end of the day, when it got time to the actual first game of the season, you can clearly tell he's in way over his head. But that's the Raiders. I think they should fire him. Who knows if they do? Arizona, they probably move on, or they should move on. Miami, I think, stays put. I think the Colts stay put. Tennessee, I think you stay put there with Tennessee. You had quarterback issue there, and we'll cover Tennessee later on. We talk a little bit about the draft. Very little. We're going to talk about the draft, but we'll mention it. So I think Tennessee, it also stays put. But back to Ben Johnson. In Dallas. Listen, Jerry Jones, I don't know if he fires McCarthy tomorrow, but he needs to move on from McCarthy. Like it's just, they need to move on. The fans, at least not the diehard fans, want you to move on. And at the end of the day, most of the fans don't know shit anyways. But I, in my opinion, I think you should move on. I think it's time to move on. If Ben Johnson is available, that's the move I make. I make a move for Ben Johnson if I'm the Dallas Cowboys and I offer him whatever he wants. That's my take on it. And if I'm looking at all the jobs in the NFL, whether you want to believe it or not, people say, you got to deal with Jerry Jones and this and that. Listen, fine, deal with the owner. I'm looking at talent on the field. The jobs that are available, the Dallas Cowboys have the most talent on the field if they fire McCarthy, which I think they will. And I don't know if it's tomorrow, but I think it's done during the week. But I think that's the job you want as a head coach. If you're Ben Johnson and you're the hottest ticket right now, you're the hottest dude out there. You want a team that's going to be capable of winning 12 or 13 games. And I believe that roster, the way it is right now, quarterback, receiver, you have a superstar defensive end. You have decent secondary. You need some pieces, obviously, but they have a roster that's good enough to win 11 or 12 games in the NFC. That's my opinion. And I'm not a Cowboys fan by any stretch of the imagination. Trust me. But I'm realistic. And when I have a quarterback who finished top 3 in MVP voting last year, when I have a receiver who's top 5 in the NFL, I have a decent tight end, I'm going to have a good draft pick, et cetera, blah, blah. I think the Dallas Cowboys is the ticket for Ben Johnson. And then after that, you have to look at the Bears. To me, the New England Patriots, that's a job that you shouldn't want if you're Ben Johnson. Like, you shouldn't want that job. You shouldn't even interview for that job. Mike Vrabel should go and coach the New England Patriots. And that's why I think they fired Jerod Mayo, because Mike Vrabel, who played in New England, played for Bill Belichick. I think that is a perfect job for him. As I think the New York Jets should try and hire Brian Flores, defensive-minded head coach. And I know that, the Brian Flores thing and all that. And look at the guys they're interviewing. They were going to interview Rex Ryan on Tuesday. They interviewed Ron Rivera, defensive-minded, and they interviewed Mike Vrabel, defensive-minded head coaches. So if I'm them, I go after Brian Flores. But that's and then you have New Orleans. It's a dead job. Arizona, I think Arizona, you need to find a offensive-minded head coach, because your best player is a quarterback, and then your receiver and your tight end. So I think if Arizona fires, I think Arizona should fire their head coach as well. So, in the coaches carousel, I don't know if you have any other take, CJ, on anybody who else you think is going to get fired.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not tomorrow, but obviously I'm going to give 2 takes on this just to hop back to the Antonio Pierce point. I think he's a good college football coach. Like, I never understood him going to the NFL. Like, I think that there's another level of knowledge that is required to be a head coach at the highest level. But Antonio Pierce, and don't get me wrong, I'm not comparing him directly, but he gives me the vibe of a Kenny.
Go ahead.
Your face. Oh, I'm not comparing them directly, but he gives me the vibe of a Kenny Dillingham. He gives me the vibe of a Deion Sanders, where they are motivators. They are not necessarily successful based off of their direct coaching. What they do is that and this is a terrible phrase, but I'm going to say it. They're like an overseer. They oversee everything, and they have good, you know what I want to say, plantation workers under them to help them direct everything that's going on. And I know a lot of coaches who do that. I know a lot of coaches who are not necessarily X's and O coaches, but run their programs like CEOs. And I think that that's what I think, first of all, my take is that he should return to college and be an assistant coach. I don't think he's going to be a head coach anytime soon, but he should return to college, and that's where he belongs. Like, I don't see Antonio Pierce's level of knowledge of football on that of a Bill Belichick or Brian Flores or, whoever else you want to mention. And then moving on to my second point, my coach in San Francisco. We have the 11th pick, and this, I guess, is going to kind of transition into our small draft conversation. We have the 11th pick, and I'm happy about it because obviously we're not getting to the playoffs. Nothing's meaningful is coming out of that season. And to get the 11th pick, my gosh, if we can't come into next season and no bullshit, lose 3 or 4 unnecessary games in the beginning of the season, no, nothing like that. If we need to come out next year, guns blazing, healthy, firing on all cylinders with whoever we drafted that damn 11th pick. And if Kyle Shanahan can't get that done, kick his ass to the curb. Do you have any take on that? Like, I understand you're not necessarily a fan of that, but what is your take on the 49, the gangbang minor gangers?
Man, listen, I had an early take on him some weeks back on that Shanahan. In my opinion, I would have moved on from Shanahan. That was weeks ago because I'm of the belief that when you lose close games, or you make games closer than they should have been while you were blowing the team out, it's the head coach's fault. And we saw them lose games. I think they blew an early lead, early season game to the Rams when they had a lead. And I know they missed a field goal and all that, but still, you even got it to that point, which should have never got to that point. When you're an offensive guru, if you're an offensive guru, you should be putting the teams the way the Lions do, for the most part, right? And
Right.
I know people are going to say, "Oh, the Lions have had plenty of tie games that they've given up leads later." Yes, they have, but there's certain. Watch tonight. I think it's 23-9 at this point. So I agree a little bit with you on the Shanahan thing. I still think you need to give Shanahan one more year because all the injuries, as Brock Purdy should get as well of a pass as well, because
Oh,
I hear
100%.
I hear all these people and all the Purdy haters. Oh, and you know who you are out there. There's plenty of you, right? And listen, he did this with this roster. Well, Kyle Shanahan is coaching that roster. Is he not that good of a coach because the roster's really good? Or does that only pertain to Brock Purdy? Because at the end of the day, people are going to argue and cry about how much Brock Purdy should make. Last year, the man was top 5 with a healthy roster that they had built. Brandon Ayuk, in my opinion, is not a top 10 receiver. Deebo Samuel is not a top 15 receiver. He's fucking a hybrid player,
Right.
and he's not a
His
great.
utility.
Yes. So it's not like he's a great running back, and it's not like he's a great receiver, and he's not in the backfield enough to even be considered a running back. He's just a third or fourth option on your offense. Greg Kittle is a phenomenal tight end, top 5 tight end in the league for sure, probably top 3. Who knows? Their offensive line is pretty good. Their defense is pretty good. Okay, they have some names out there. They underachieved this year, but they had plenty of injuries everywhere, all over the place. So the narrative of the Niners, of Brock Purdy not being able to do this, and that because of his roster. How did Joe Burrow do without T. Higgins to start the year? And Joe Burrow finished. If Joe Burrow was 11-6, he'd be the MVP. He's arguably still going to get votes and probably going to finish 3rd in MVP. But he didn't have T. Higgins to start the year, and I believe they started 1-4, or whatever it was. So and Joe Burrow has T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. We can argue are two of the top 10 receivers in the NFL. So the case for Brock Purdy of not getting this and that, Kyle Shanahan should be held to the same standards as Brock Purdy. The roster was hurt. Brock Purdy didn't perform well. Kyle Shanahan wasn't able to coach well because the roster was hurt. I think he gets a pass next year. Now, next year, they come out and do the same bullshit they did this year. Doesn't matter how hurt everyone was.
Yes.
Okay? And I hate that people say, oh, Kyle Shanahan, the quarterback whisperer, this and that. Did you see Trey Lance play football today? Did that man know he was playing football today? My God. Someone should have told him. And on that note, that leads me to Jerry Jones, and the Cowboys will kind of come back. Them not playing Cooper Rush today, for him to get a $500,000 bonus, was just pure fuckery on Jerry Jones. Like, bro, you might spend that on a weekend with one of those 29-year-old chicks you're banging. And you're not going to let this man go out there. And he's battled for you and won some games here late in the season. And with a depleted kind of roster, you had CeeDee Lamb kind of hurt and this and that. And you send him out there, and then you don't send him out there the last game of the season. You shouldn't have at least let him play the first half. You bring in Trey Lance the next and to play the second half. I know the excuse is going to be, well, we wanted to see what we had in Trey Lance. No, you didn't. Because if you wanted to see what you had in Trey Lance, you could have thrown him out there instead of Cooper Rush, and it would have made it seem like you weren't trying to tank, but you wanted to see what Trey Lance was doing. That's what I would have done if that's the excuse you're going to use, Jerry Jones. And I'm almost sure when he's on 105.3 The Fan this week, that's the excuse that he's going to use because it will be brought up. And although he does own the station, he might check the questions and he's probably not going to want to answer that one.
He'll be cussing out the producers and shit.
Yeah, again, which he's done before live on the show. So Jerry Jones not starting, not letting them start Cooper Rush or saying, hey, we need to start Cooper Rush, etc., kind of showed me two things. Number one, Jerry Jones is an asshole. Number two, that Mike McCarthy is probably out because you're the more than likely the decision to start Trey Lance came from the top. And like I said, I know I'm certain that's the excuse that he's going to use. We wanted to see what we had in Trey. If you wanted to see what you had in Trey, you would have started him 4 weeks ago.
Thank you.
And you would have seen what you had, which is absolutely nothing. You have nothing in Trey Lance. Send his ass to the CFL, and he's a third stringer. He's a practice squad quarterback in the NFL.
It's almost like he didn't play the highest level of Division I football.
Oh, shit. You might be right. So, but that leads back again to Kyle Shanahan, the quarterback guru who drafted this man and who is a shit show.
Oh, and mind you, this I believe Trey Lance was in the draft of Trevor Lawrence and Justin. I think he was in that draft.
Yeah,
we took fucking Trey Lance, the only dude who didn't play FBS football, and you chose him.
Yeah, insane. Thinking he was Carson Wentz.
You're like, come on now. I remember that draft so vividly, and it was just like, bro. Or was the draft with like Bo Nix? It was one of those drafts. I think it was a Bo Nix draft.
Bo Nix was last year.
Was he last year? I get my years mixed up.
Yeah.
But anyways, I remember that draft being a quarterback heavy draft, and we had like the third or fourth pick, and we took Trey Lance. It was absolute blasphemy by the supposed quarterback whisperer. Just ridiculous.
Yes. So, but back to answer your question, Kyle Shanahan should get the same pass as everyone's giving Brock Purdy. You got to see what he can do with a healthy roster again, and we'll see. I think, and we can jump right into the draft. You said the Niners have the 11th pick. Maybe we'll get there, maybe we won't. But you're a Niner fan. Do the Niners need to draft an offensive tackle in this spot if there's one?
We should like you said it earlier, we are loaded at every position possible. But if you look at I'm forgetting his name. I'm having an Eddie moment. But the left tackle Trent Williams. If you look at Trent Williams, he is old and he is on his way out. And so we should be looking nowhere else besides offensive line and defensive line. Like that should be the only. You saw We let go of dumbass fucking DN from Ohio State that didn't do Chase Young, bitch ass, who I was so excited about. But to answer your question, yes, it should be offensive, defensive line. We should be stacking house there, and that's where our investment should go for sure.
All right, but who's got the number 1 pick? So it's all said and done. All the turds are done. The season is over, and let's see who has the number 1 pick in the draft. It is the Tennessee Titans have the number 1 pick. Why did I announce that shit like we just did the lottery? We're doing the NBA lottery out here. So anyway, so the Titans are going to pick first. The Titans bench Will Levis a handful of games ago. Dude, I am not a Will Levis fan, not only because he eats mayonnaise at a ridiculous rate, but he's just not a good quarterback. I mean, he's not a good quarterback, and you saw it early in the year, the game on Monday night in Miami. He goes down, like they were struggling to just move the ball. He goes down. Mason Rudolph comes in. They win that game. It was just like a different – I'm not saying Mason Rudolph is the answer to the Tennessee Titans by all means. Mason Rudolph is a career backup and will always be a backup. And he's not a bad one. There's nothing bad with being an NFL quarterback. There's only 32 backups in the world. Well, maybe 64. Some teams carry 3. The Raiders for a long time had or a couple years ago, had the highest paid backup and the highest paid third stringer.
Oh,
so leave it to the Raiders. But so the Titans, do they draft a quarterback at number 1? If I'm the Tennessee Titans, I do not take a quarterback.
Oh.
In my opinion, I don't take a quarterback. I try because I try and find someone. I think I try and go after maybe a bridge, because in my opinion, I don't love the first of all, Shedeur, if he's the first quarterback, he's not going to Tennessee. So you don't want that drama with you already, right? You don't want that Shedeur drama right out the gate. And for Tennessee, I think you have to find you need Shedeur. To me, Shedeur is not the answer for the Tennessee Titans.
So what position do you think should they be?
Man, I think
like
you have
receiver.
I think you have to go Travis Hunter. It's hard to take a receiver at number 1, and Travis Hunter is a corner. I think he's going to be a better corner than he is a receiver. So that's even tough to even take here. And this is what's going to make this draft, I think, better than all, because the Titans, I don't know if they can take another quarterback at number 1. They took Will Levis, 2 seasons ago in that first round, right? So if you want to pull that up so we just fact check it. But I'm almost sure. I thought he was, I don't know, his 8th pick or some shit in the draft, but I'm not sure. So
let's see. Just continue. I'll look for it.
And then you have so Tennessee's kind of a wild card. Like for me, I because to me it's not certain. Do you want to give Will Levis another chance? Because you saw what Carolina did. You saw what Bryce Young did after he sat behind Andy Dalton. Since he came back to play after sitting, how good did he look? And I know Will Levis sat, and and then he did what he did this year. Is Tennessee's roster, I think, is more than I think you just need so much more than a quarterback.
Will Levis was taken with the number 33 overall pick.
Okay, so in the second round. And that was what, 2 years ago?
It was 2023.
Okay, so imagine 2023. So in 2 seasons, you're just going to throw away a number. You're just going to lose your second round pick, basically.
Yeah.
And they might have traded up for that pick, maybe. I'm not sure. But
can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So and this is interesting. So you talked about receiver. Would you take Travis Hunter or would you take TMac?
At number 1, I can't take a receiver. Like I just can't. Like it's so hard for me. Like
who do you take?
If I'm Tennessee, if you're not set on one of these 2 quarterbacks, and I don't think that they could take Shedeur at number 1, because I think there will be an issue. I really do. I think there will be an issue. And we talked about it last week on the 2 Nobodies. Watching Shedeur in that bowl game was atrocious. Cam Ward looked great for the first half. Do you take Cam Ward at number 1 if you're Tennessee? I just find it so hard to take a quarterback 2 years ago in the first or second round and you're already moving on. And Will Levis has looked terrible. There could be plenty of excuses. There was a huge rumor going around about his girlfriend, that he was on check, that he was in love with this chick, that might have affected his game. I mean, all sorts of shit. You have to reevaluate that. Is there an amazing defensive end in this draft? Is Carter the number one pick?
Ooh.
Do you take Carter? How about Walker from Georgia? They have him as a top 15 prospect.
Yeah, Abdul Carter on
From
every
Penn
mock
State.
draft that I've seen is he's going to Jacksonville. He's top 5.
Yeah, so he's top 5, and so does Tennessee make that move at defensive end? I mean, there's so many things. I just don't see them taking Shedeur with the number 1 pick. So for me, is there an offense? Is there a left tackle?
Hell yeah, Will Campbell, baby, LSU.
Okay, so is he a number 1 pick? Do you feel that he's the number 1 pick? Is he a Joe Alt, a Joe Thomas?
Hell no.
Is he a generational offensive lineman for Tennessee? Right? Tennessee. There's just so much shit up in the air, and as we get closer and week after week after week after week, we'll learn more and more and more. It's going to be the decision are they making to move on from Will Levis. It seems that way because they benched him 3 or 4 weeks ago. But you got to sit down with everyone and you got to see, and we'll see with Tennessee. I don't take a quarterback if I'm Tennessee. I just find it hard to. I just think you need so many other things, and for me, I cannot take a receiver at number 1. I just can't, even though he's the number 1 prospect in the draft and he's rated number 1 on all the boards. I can't take a receiver or a corner with the number 1 pick. I just can't.
So before I share Yahoo Sports' mock draft, so we can just comment on these pictures, there is a love story building with a potential pick with our boy Eddie Santiago. So every mock draft, I've looked at so many of them in the past 2 hours, and every mock draft I see has our boy TMac, Teteroa McMillan, being drafted number 6 by the Raiders. What do you think about that? I love it personally because it's a homer pick for me. But what do you think about that?
I love it. I think he's the best receiver in the draft. My opinion only. I think he's the best receiver in the country. There is no doubt watching him play. Now, let me rephrase that. Jeremiah Smith, in my opinion, is the best receiver in the country, but he's a freshman.
I was about to say, check that shit.
But he's a freshman. But when you watch TMac play, and he played with such a small quarterback, and he did so many things to make Fafita look good for possession after possession after possession. To me, I think TMac is the best receiver in the draft. At number 6 to the Raiders, it would be a great pick. But the Raiders need a quarterback, and AOC isn't it. And so they need a quarterback. And this is also, I think if you go in and draft a quarterback, if you're the Raiders at number 6, whether it's Shedeur or Cam or whoever's there, that they feel that they're going to take. If they feel they can draft a quarterback at number 6, Antonio Pierce will not be the head coach because he's so borderline on getting fired. And you cannot make the same mistake that the Bears have made over and over and over again of going into these seasons with a rookie quarterback, keeping your head coach from years past. And then you go in there and you basically throwing away that kid's rookie year because you're going to change the entire coaching staff on the very next season, in their second season, in their sophomore year, which we know is a struggle. And you can see CJ Stroud. He had nothing change over. He actually added weapons and he struggled. Yes, they made the playoffs, but they struggled on offense. So I think it'd be a great pick for the Raiders at number 6 to take TMac from University of Arizona, wide receiver. But that'll be wait and see. And they hit a home run with Brock Bowers. The problem is that they struck out everywhere else, and so and that not in the draft, just everywhere else. It doesn't even fucking matter. So number 2 is the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson, obviously the quarterback there. He has struggled. I mean, it's insane the amount that he struggled. It is nuts. I could see the Cleveland Browns drafting a quarterback, Cam Ward maybe. There, I don't think it should. The problem with Shedeur is Dion, and not that it's a problem. It's a problem for the general manager and the team. that the kid is, dad's already said he doesn't want his kid playing just anywhere. So,
Yeah, so I have it pulled up here. So we have obviously this is pretty representative of what I've seen throughout the board, but Tennessee, a lot of people do have him taking Shedeur, and then Cam Ward, and then Travis Hunter. I don't think that's really a surprise. It gets interesting after that, obviously. I think the Patriots taking Will Campbell. I don't think Will Campbell is a Joe Alt. I don't think he's a generational talent, but I do think that he is a top 10 pick. But I like it. I like what we got down here at 11, Rafa. Michael Williams, edge rusher from Georgia. Yeah, I like it. It's
no,
personally.
by the way, I do disagree with Yahoo here. And if you want to scroll up a little bit, I think over to the 5 pick. I think it was the 5. Who's picking at 5? No, no. Go down to 7. There's somebody there. I thought, okay, the Jets. I don't see the Jets drafting a receiver because the Jets have other needs. Like I know you paid a couple offensive linemen or whatever. You have plenty of other needs, and your need is not receiver. And you're not. It's it's just you have Wilson, and to add you are so far from the Jets are so far from the Jets in their mind. They think they just need a quarterback. You need other pieces. You're not able to run the ball. You were, I think, last in the NFL in rushing. So how are you able to run the ball better? Because Breece Hall is a former running back. He's not a bad back. It's just you weren't able to run the ball. Why aren't you able to run the ball? Well, your scheme might have sucked, but your offensive line isn't very good. And so I think the Jets, if they don't trade out of that pick, they will find they need to draft the lineman, an offensive lineman. That's my opinion for the Jets. I don't see the Jets taking receiver at number 7. I just don't. I find that hard to believe.
Yeah.
I think there's plenty of other. This draft is going to have a ton of receivers you can take in the 2nd and 3rd round or whatever for you to go up there. A team that won 5 games this year, I believe, or 6 games. Like you have a pretty good defense. You have zero ability to run the ball, and if you run the ball, your defense sits on the sideline and gets more rest, which you need. So, and when you're in reality, the Jets should have been a defensive-minded team, which is why I think they've been interviewing defensive-minded head coaches. I don't see a defensive-minded head coach. I don't see you hiring, Mike Vrabel or Rex Ryan or Ron Rivera and him drafting a receiver at number 7. I think that is going to be an offensive lineman for the Jets. Or some sort of or some defensive player, but I don't see them drafting a wide receiver for sure. And maybe Cam Ward falls to 7. I don't think he does. They have Shedeur at number 1 to Tennessee. How is that going to go with Dion? Do the Giants trade up to number 1, swap with Tennessee? I don't believe that happens, but it's all possible. And Travis Hunter could end up in New York. He's now at number 3. Travis would drop to number 3 because they have the 2 quarterbacks going 1 and 2. I think Cleveland, really does go Cam Ward. I think he can sit behind Deshaun for a year if Deshaun's able to play again, and they can kind of see what it is, and because you can't move on. A contract's guaranteed. I mean, you got to throw him out there at least one more time and see what happens. But that kind of cover, and the Giants, they need a quarterback. My opinion, I don't think they go out and get Sam Darnold. Some people think they're going to go out and get Sam Darnold. I'm not a Sam Darnold fan. I apologized to him some weeks back on the Two Nobodies podcast. I apologized to him because I said he was shit. And watching him tonight, I shouldn't have apologized to him because he is shit. He is shit. I'm sorry. I know he won 14 games this year, and he will probably lose next weekend to the Rams and on the road. And they're going to be 14-3 and probably 1 game out. And the other thing is too, if you're Minnesota and you saw what he did at 14-3, how do you not pay him and then sit JJ another year? And people have done it plenty of times where their quarterback has sat. So I don't think Minnesota just lets Darnold walk. I think they pay him, at least offer him something formidable, and he I think he returns to Minnesota. I don't see him going to the Giants. I think the Giants need to draft a quarterback. But at 3, sits a little tough. If I'm Tennessee, I'm playing around with the Giants and maybe get that pick and maybe get them to trade.
For sure.
But the draft is going to be interesting, and it's only the first day. And Eddie's been mock drafting for weeks. His Raider mock drafts. So I think his mock drafts. If the Raiders actually drafted the way Eddie's mock drafts go, the Raiders would be a better franchise today than they are, because Eddie spends more time on mock drafting for the Raiders than the Raiders spend on mock drafting for the Raiders. Eddie has more draft preparation with zero money to investment and zero scouts, and he probably does a better job than the Raiders with all the resources. Eddie has zero resources but a cell phone and a computer, and he drafts better than the Raiders. He really does. He really does. And I mean, he should do Joy Taylor and maybe be able to get his way onto the Raiders staff.
Suck his way to the top.
Suck his way to the top, Ed. Start with the tattoo, bud.
But that will do our NFL segment. Let's get into the sport that we love and we argue about so much, and that is college football. And we're going to play a little game first before we get into the semifinal game. So, obviously, Penn State versus Notre Dame. And I just got to ask you, who has it best? Who has it best when it comes to these factors? So, I'm going to name it off and you give me the team. So, would you rather have Penn State or Notre Dame uniforms?
Oh, Penn State. You know this. This is my favorite uniform. The white white helmet. That's my favorite uniform.
Hell no. Head coach, Penn State or Notre Dame?
Man, I like them both. I really do. And I like them because they're light-skinned black dudes. I didn't even know James Franklin was black. Marcus Freeman. I didn't know James Franklin was black. He has a shaved head. He has zero black features. It's my opinion only. But to me, James Franklin, I didn't know he was black. Franklin, last name maybe. But, dude, James Franklin, Jamal Franklin would have nailed he was black. But James Franklin, bro, I didn't know he was black. Marcus Freeman, he's got black hair. So I that one I knew.
But, no, he does not. But okay.
But, dude, you know what I'm saying. It's not straight. It's not straight, okay? So it's close enough to black hair, bro. But, no, dude, I like them both, man. I really do. I like them both on the second tier of head coaches, right? Like, for me, they're second tier. Yes. They're not on the upper echelon, my opinion. And I know people are going to say they're in the playoff. Yes, they're in the playoff. But before this, they weren't fucking sniffing them. So that's just what it is. Right now, I'm gonna say Penn State and James Franklin head coach.
Wow. Okay. All right. Would you rather have Penn State or Notre Dame Stadium?
Oh, dude, Notre Dame. It's iconic.
Oh, whoa! Why now?
No, I know that's one day though. And Notre Dame. It's Notre Dame, man. It's more historic. It's a more historic franchise, university.
All right. Would you rather have Penn State or Notre Dame's fan base?
Fuck, dude, Penn State. Because I'm big on fan bases and Notre Dame fan base. The thing is, this is the difference with Penn State. Notre Dame for me is a fan base like USC and UCLA, like the Mexicans just attract to it. Like, bro, you don't even know that fucking South Bend was in Indiana. Like, that's the shit. You know what I'm saying? And they just attract to that shit. I don't know what it is. And so, dude, definitely Penn State, because you don't know many people that went to Penn. The people who are Penn State fans went to Penn State, or they grew up near there, or their grandfather, their father, their mother, their uncle, whatever. They have a tie to the school. Right? Notre Dame fans is like, oh, they watch Rudy and fucking, I like Notre Dame, bro. You know what I mean? There's plenty of those. It's like USC. Like, bro, they didn't even know that it was fucking right downtown. They thought it was somewhere else. Like, that for me is the same thing. Like Notre Dame, I put in that group.
All right. Last and not last, but most definitely not least, would you rather have Notre Dame or Penn State's tradition?
Notre Dame, there's no doubt about it.
100%.
The tradition is there. It's always going to be there. Is Notre Dame? They're the reason they're independent. Is because of the tradition that they have.
100%. But now let's get into the game itself on Thursday, January 9th. What do you got? The line is ridiculously close. It's obviously Notre Dame -1.5, and the total sits at 45.5. What are your thoughts on this game?
Dude, as much as I like Penn State head coach, I like Drew Aller. Carter's a questionable. He's questionable right now. James Franklin hasn't said that if he's playing or not. Dude, I like Notre Dame, and I don't even know why. To be honest with you, I don't even know why. Because I like Penn State for the most part. I've cheered on Penn State throughout the year. I've been on that train of I like Penn State. It's just, it kind of just draws to me a little bit, right? And since I'm not a team, I don't have a team, right? Like I don't have a college team, I don't have an NFL team, a major league team. I don't have a preference, a tie, a fucking fanatic bullshit that people grow to have with these universities or pro teams.
You
Because
don't?
I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. Like I seriously don't. I love greatness. So like people think, oh yeah, it's because you're a Laker fan. No, I'm not. I just think LeBron's fucking amazing. When Shaq was on the Lakers, I loved Shaq. I didn't like the Lakers. So when I was a kid, I was a Jordan fan. You're not a fucking Bulls fan. And as a kid, it was different, right? Like I liked the Bulls and I liked the Magic because of Shaq and Jordan had retired for a little bit. And so that was it. But for me to have like an alliance for this team, no, I cheer. There's teams that have like a soft spot in my heart. Penn State's one of them. And I don't know why. I think it was LeVar Arrington, Penn State. Dude, the jerseys, like University of Miami, wearing the croc. Like LeVar wore that shit. You know what I'm saying? But I've been on Penn State bandwagon all year long. I'm gonna lean Notre Dame here. I'm gonna lead Notre Dame just because, right? And neither team has impressed me on offense. Neither team. I think that Notre Dame Georgia game could have gone either way. I think the Penn State game, what disappointed me about Penn State with Boise was I felt like they could have put that game away early, and they weren't capable. And that's the problem that I have with Penn State, that they weren't capable of putting away Boise. Will you be capable of putting away Notre Dame? I don't think so. And going into this, I know Ohio State's won 2 games in a row at just looked absolutely ridiculous on offense. But if we look at it, Notre Dame is the hottest team in the playoffs right now. We're dating back, right? Ohio State's looked the best. Ohio State's looked the best. I think when we look at what Notre Dame's done, they've won 7, 8 in a row, 9 in a row, whatever it is, 10 in a row. So just on that is what I'm saying. Ohio State's definitely looked the best, but Ohio State had a hiccup 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago against Michigan. So what I'm saying is Notre Dame just kind of it feels they're rolling a little more than everyone.
9 in a row.
Yeah, 9 in a row. So I mean, you go in here 9 in a row. I think Penn State's next at 6 in a row or something, 5 in a row. Texas lost the SEC title game as well. So it just seems Notre Dame is the hottest team right now. Ohio State has been the hottest team in the playoffs. Like they've looked by far the most impressive. Notre Dame's the hottest for the last three months. They've been on fire. And so
you're right. They're 12 in a row.
Yeah, so they lost that game early. So I mean, for the last 3 months or 4 months, dating back to October, 3 months, Notre Dame has just rolled. And we can say they played this, that, whatever. They didn't look good against Georgia, and they struggled there at the end at Indiana. But that was just like that game was over. Like it didn't even fucking matter. So I'm leaning Notre Dame right there, but I think it's going to be a super tight game. I think it's going to be low scoring, and I don't believe Carter's going to be 100% for him to go out there and play 100% of the snap. I don't even think he plays 70% of the snaps on defense. And I think Notre Dame needs him out there. I mean, Penn State needs him out there to be able to keep Notre Dame in check. So I think Notre Dame's going to make less mistakes than Penn State. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to be in that 20-17, somewhere in there. I think it's going to be a field goal game. I think it's going to be the under, but I'm leaning towards Notre Dame right now.
100%. My personal take, I think Notre Dame and Boise State play a similar style of offense. I think they line up an I formation, they hand the ball off, they keep it on the ground. And like you said, they couldn't put away Boise State, a much lesser of a talented team. And Notre Dame is going to match them with at every single position. And so when you can't put away Boise State, I don't have no confidence that you're going to put away Notre Dame. But getting into our sponsor, this show is brought to you by KUTT. KUTT is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's legal in 40 plus states in the United States. Bet directly against your friends or on other sports, politics, pop culture, and other events. Fully customizable odds, much lower VIG. KUTT handles the payment side of things, so you never have to chase anyone down for that moolah, and tons of social features, group chats, betting leaderboards, H2H history, and user profiles. Rewards, get your cash back just for betting against your friends. Use our code YAPPIN, YAPPYN. Again, that's YAPPYN on KUTT.com. Rafa, what is your cut play for this game?
My cut bet is the under on the Notre Dame and Penn State game. I'm going to give it to you at 44. I know CJ said I think it's 45.
Yes.
Penn State and Notre Dame under 44. I think the game goes under. I really, like I said, I think it goes under 40. But cut bet under 44, Penn State, Notre Dame on Thursday night. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a must. I mean, there's going to be 20 million people watching this game. And so, but I like the under. I don't think we're going to get a lot of points. Under. Take the under in the Notre Dame Penn State game. If you want to bet it on KUTT, find me on there. 2 Nobody's Ralph. I will take your bets, and we can do it. Let's do it.
Let's go. All right. Moving on to the next game. This game, I am expecting a lot of fireworks. The playoffs has been very disappointing, and I think this game is going to give us everything that we want. But we're going to play a little game first, man. Who you got and who has it best? Do you want Texas or Ohio State uniforms?
Ohio State. Ohio State. The scarlet red, the silver pants, the helmet. Like, I know Texas helmet, white. I like the white helmets, man, but I don't know. I just feel that Ohio State, it's just more, for me anyways. I like it.
I think the most crisp, clean cut uniform in the country is when Texas goes with that all white. That all white with the orange Longhorn on the helmet. I think that shit is the sickest shit on the planet.
They're probably going to wear it on Friday night.
Hopefully. But who do you want more? Do you want Ryan Day or Steve Sarkis?
Man, this is the Astastic Bowl right here. This is the Astastic head coaches. And if you don't know what an Astastic head coach is, it's a coach that people think they're good and they're not. And I know these 2 guys are in the semifinals, and Sark was in the playoffs last year. Ryan Day wasn't. And so, but Ryan Day right now, he defeated Dan Lanning, which was the number 2 seed in my Astastic poll. Ryan Day sits at number 1, and Sark was number 3. And now we have a 1-2 matchup again. If I have to pick a head coach between these 2 turds, I will take Ryan Day. That's just what it is.
Great explanation. All right. Would you rather be in Texas or Ohio State Stadium?
There's no doubt about it in the shoe.
100%. 100%. Would you rather have Texas or Ohio State's fan base? This shit, I think there's only one right answer, but go ahead.
I'd rather have Ohio State's fan base.
Thank you.
Texas fan base, man, is just okay. So I explained it earlier, the UCLA, USC, Alabama shit. Texas is the redneck team in Texas, right? Like, Texas is the USC of Texas. Like, people who didn't go to the school, they're like, oh yeah, I like Texas. But dude, the people who are A&M, like, those motherfuckers went there. Yes. Texas Tech, they went there. Yes. Baylor, they more than likely went there. But the Texas thing is like, yeah, no, I didn't go there. Like, my third cousin almost went there. Shit like that. I feel like that's the white people's USC. Like the Mexicans in USC, that's the same translation as Texas. Bro, and you saw it. The game against Georgia, they start throwing
Yep.
shit on the field and all that shit. Like, I hate that shit. That same shit with Dodger fans. It's disrespectful. It's terrible. So,
All
and
right.
Ohio State falls in the same Penn State category. Like, you can't
Yes.
find just random people who are from Columbus or who are not from Columbus that are Ohio State fans. Like, they went there, they fucked somebody who went there. Like, there's a line, there's a lenient, like, boom, it's right there. There's blood right there.
I think this is the toughest question of this whole thing.
100%.
Whose tradition would you rather
100%.
have better, Texas or Ohio State's tradition?
Dude, man, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I'm gonna take Texas.
Ooh, okay.
I'm gonna take Texas, but that's a tough question. That's a tough question. But I'm gonna
Yes.
take Texas. I'm gonna take Texas tradition.
100%. Once again, this show is brought to you by KUTT. Make sure you use our code Yappin, YAPPYN, for a 10% deposit bonus on your first deposit. Rafa, what is your KUTT play? But obviously, what is your thoughts about this game?
Man, dude, it's the thing about these two rosters that and so I'll take you back real quick. When we did our on the two nobodies, we did our preseason takes. I thought Texas would go undefeated and lose in the SEC championship game to Georgia. So they didn't go undefeated. They lost 2 games to Georgia. I thought they would beat them the first one, lose in the SEC title game. So I thought for sure Texas would be the best team in the land throughout the season. And because I felt that they had the second best roster. My take on Ohio State was they're the best team in the land right out the gate. That was my take on them. And now you're starting to see finally Chip Kelly put together the offense that team should have been running since week 1. He underachieved for 12 fucking weeks. And now they are rolling as they should with the talent that they have. They have 3 receivers that will probably go in the first round of their drafts, whether this year, next year, the year after, and so on. So I mean, I think they have a phenomenal roster. But the only other team that can match that roster is the Texas Longhorns. So I think we're in for a treat of just talent everywhere. Defensive line, offensive line, receiver, corner, everywhere, running back. I mean, listen, Texas has their nice set of running backs back there with Blue and the kid who played the other day. And so does Ohio State. I mean, I think this is the 2 best rosters in college football that money could buy. I think this is it right here. And so, I mean, I think you're in for a treat. And, you know, the game's going to be played in Dallas at AT&T Stadium in Jerry's World, 3 hours north of Austin. So, you know, we'll get if Texas manages to win this game somehow, we'll get all the Ohio State and Big Ten and, oh, God, they played it. Listen, that's the way the shit broke down. Okay. But I think we're in for a tight game. I don't think Ohio State's going to boat race them like they did to Oregon, like they did to Tennessee. I don't see that. I think they will be ready. When you watch the Texas game to against Arizona State, the beginning of that game, the first 7 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes of that game, where Texas is up 14-3 and it just happened in a flash, and they failed to put them away. I don't think Sark makes that mistake again this time. I really don't. I don't think he makes, and I don't think he's going to get up 14-3 against Ohio State by any means. I just don't think he makes a mistake. I think he game plans. I think he's going to be more creative in this game, and I think because he's an offensive of mind,
right?
And I think he will have his offense ready to go against that Ohio State defense. I don't think you're going to see the bullshit we saw from Oregon with the bullshit bubble screens and stuff. Texas doesn't play like that. So I think I think you're in for a treat. And I'll tell you right now, put it on KUTT. I like Texas. The line is 6. Give me Texas +4. I'm going to get it down to 4, and you don't have to pay shit. We'll be even money. You don't need to buy the 2 points for Ohio State. I will take the Texas Longhorns and Aztastic head coach number 2, Sark, to cover 4 points. Because I believe they can win this game. I don't think they will win this game, but I just think the speed that they have on both sides of the ball can match up with what Ohio State has been doing. And by the way, Oregon just forgot to cover Jeremiah Smith in the first quarter. Like, where the did you not see number 4 out there? Did he change his
Literally.
number? Was he wearing number 67 or something? That man, number 4, got the ball, and he just I don't think I think Texas matches up well with Ohio State and vice versa. I think this is going to be a treat matchup right here. I think this is the best game we could have asked for in this round. I don't think an Oregon Texas game would have been as good as an Ohio State Texas game could be, and I think will be.
100%. But my personal thought on this game was the fact that I kind of came to something, and I'm going to change my mind, and I'm going to agree with you that next year, and I've kind of said this already, but next year, I don't want to see the Boise States and Arizona State put up a great game. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want to see the Boise States and Arizona States. I want to see the best teams with the best rosters and the best talent get a shot. And whether we expand to 16 and do that, keep it at 12 and change the way we structure the playoff, give me Ole Miss, give me South Carolina, give me Alabama, even though lost to Michigan. I want to see those rosters get a chance, because if we're going to get this, especially if they don't change the seeding, if they don't change anything and they keep it the same, I need to see the best teams get an opportunity. And I don't want to see Boise State and Arizona State. I want to see the big bad SEC, the big bad Big Ten get in there. But we're going to transition. And you mentioned her earlier, but there's been some drama going on in ESPN land. So I'm going to read you this. This is about Joy Taylor, and she's been on First Take. She was on Undisputed. She has her own show now, but it says in approximately February 2020, Miss Taylor asked Miss Faraji to meet her for lunch in Beverly Hills. When Miss Faraji arrived, she found Miss Taylor with a man, Emmanuel ACHO, Mr. ACHO. Mr. Faraji did not know Mr. ACHO, but could tell that the two were romantically involved. A few months after meeting Mr. ACHO at lunch, Miss Faraji noticed him in the hallway while at work. Mr. Faraji later asked Miss Taylor if Mr. ACHO also worked at Fox. Miss Taylor confirmed and explained that she wanted Mr. ACHO to eventually recommend her on the show Speak for Yourself. Miss Faraji became alarmed and warned Miss Taylor that she should probably not sleep with Mr. Dixon and Mr. ACHO at the same time, as Mr. Dixon is a very powerful man that became very angry. Miss Taylor told her not to worry about it. She explained that she was also now powerful, and once Mr. Dixon was no longer useful to her, she would follow through on her plan to tell the company that he forced himself on her. She would not allow herself to be forced out by Mr. Dixon like other woman talent. In approximately September 2022, Miss Taylor started to work on Speak. Miss Taylor requested Miss Faraji to do her hair. Rafa, what is your thoughts about the Joy Taylor drama?
First of all, I don't like to comment on drama, but this is what the show's about. Who the fuck is Miss Faraji? Who the fuck is Miss Faraji? It sounds like a hater. Listen, women, people want to be naive and pretend that women don't sleep their way up. In a man's world, they mostly do. And Joy Taylor isn't bad to look at, where she can sleep her way up, and her takes weren't bright enough for her to not sleep her way up. Okay, so but I don't know who Miss Faraji is, but she sounds like a hater. She sounds like she's just hating, and she sounds like the hairdresser who maybe is unhappy that she is no longer the hairdresser. Maybe I don't know who she is. I don't know what she is, but Joy is listen, she did what she had to do. She got the gig. It's not the first time. It's not the last time. And this has been going on for 50, 60 years of television. Okay. So Selma Hayek did it, whether they want a Me Too movement or whatever. They all did it with Harvey Weinstein. They all showed the boobies and let him hit it and quit it and all that. They all did it. Joy Taylor's just doing it now. And so it is what it is. They've always done it. And I'm not going to hate on her game because she did it right. And she's got her own show. So Miss Faraji, you're just a hater. You snitch. That's what it is. I could give 3 fucks who sleeps with who. I don't watch any of those shows. Not First Take, not Last Take, not fucking Good Morning, not none of that shit. I don't watch none of them. Okay, so I don't. I can't tune into none of that shit. I hate it. And trust me, if I could sleep my way up to work at ESPN or Fox, I would do it. I would do it. But nobody's trying to fuck a middle-aged, overweight man. By the way, down 100 pounds. But still,
Hello.
nobody's trying to do it. But if I could, I would. Dave Portnoy, where you at, baby? You know what I'm saying? So, she did it. She did it, and it is what it is. I don't listen. It doesn't bother me like one bit. It doesn't affect me. All I know is that this Miss, what's her name, Versace, you a hater, and something happened for you to bring this out 4 years later, when this woman is at the top of her game with her show or whatever it is, and you're just a hater to bring this to light now. She wasn't, it's not like you're bringing out a sexual abuse case or anything like that. You're bringing out, you're just hating.
Sex life.
Yeah, you're bringing out her sex life. You're putting it out there. That's none of your fucking business. If she wants to fuck Emmanuel Acho and Marcellus Wiley and the owner of Fox, Rupert Murdoch, who knows if he's still alive, it doesn't matter. Listen, the women at Fox News, they fuck, what's his name? I don't remember the guy's name, but they did the movie. The producer there at Fox. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It was a show on it or whatever.
Only one I know is Bill O'Reilly.
No. Bigger than Bill O'Reilly, because Megyn Kelly left Fox because of this case where she was paid. And there's plenty of other women at Fox News that were sleeping with this guy. And you can look it up. They did a whole fucking movie on it and everything. And I think, who played him? Was it Russell Crowe? I don't remember who played him in the movie. Might have been a movie or a series or whatever. It was phenomenal. But they did that as well. But that was more of they claimed sexual abuse or whatever. And that's the only problem that I have with it. And like, listen, she wants to fuck Emmanuel Acho, that's her business. Let's not hear 5 years later that, Emmanuel Acho told you to fuck him so he can get you the job of Mr. Dixon. That's not what we're hearing here. We're hearing that Miss Versace is an absolute hater.
Roger Ailes.
Roger Ailes, there you go.
He created Fox News.
Yes, so him, he banged all of them, like a lot of them. So, but that was felt like more of a, hey, if you do this, more of a Harvey Weinstein thing.
Right.
So for Joy, she's just out there having a good time and moving up. Like I said, I would do it. Miss Versace sounds like an absolute hater, and who knows what happened. And you're bringing this to light. Like, who gives a fuck? If there's no criminal case tied to this, then who gives a fuck?
Right.
And it looks like there isn't. So if she slept with Skip Bayless and Emmanuel Acho and Marcellus Wiley, and I keep bringing up Marcellus Wiley because he was at Fox. Not putting that on Marcellus, but he was a bachelor. Not saying it. But so you're a hater for putting this out on Joy, and let her be. Let her be. I told you, I'm going to sleep my way to the top.
I agree. I agree with you on, and you mentioned it on the basis of if consenting adults are doing things that consenting adults do, then it is none of your fucking business. When you make it everybody's business, you have two dumbasses like me and you that start to talk about it for no reason. And it's like, bro, if you never left her sex life, her sex life was never your business, then why are you making it our business? Like, if Joy Taylor fucked Sam Acho, who gives a fuck?
I think it's Emmanuel
Acho. Who, if they are two attractive black people who found each other sexually attractive and got in bed with each other, who gives a fuck?
Joy's mixed. Joy's mixed. I'm gonna call you. You know what? Let's stop real quick. I'm tired of black people always claiming when the person is mixed that they're black. No, they're fucking mixed. They're not black. You can't. Black people automatically think they can draft the person because they're mixed with black.
No,
you cannot.
No.
You can. Yes, Tiger Woods is not black. That motherfucker plays golf.
Get the
He's
fuck
Asian.
out of here.
How do you guys claim? CJ, how do you guys claim?
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
When you mix Sprite with Dr. Pepper, what color you get?
Caramel.
So, okay.
A lighter shade of brown.
I'm going to ask you a historical question. When a slave master and a slave owner had a child, regardless of whether it was consensual or not. What did they call that child? A mulatto. It was mulatto. There was a whole phrase made for half-colored children because white people did not think that the colored children were white.
Listen, you cannot keep claiming these people. It can't happen. I'm tired of black people claiming them. Why don't other people get to claim them? Joy Taylor, I think, is mixed with some sort of Hispanic heritage. So Hispanics should be able to claim her just as
They
much.
can.
Yeah, but you said 2 black people. Emmanuel Acho is black. Joy Taylor is mixed. There should be like a different shit. You can't go in the black draft. I'm sorry.
It's not a draft. When you're born half black, you can
That's it. You have.
identify as black. No, that's not how that works.
But the
You
public identifies them, and I'm tired of it.
No,
I don't identify
because they're
Mahomes as black. I don't.
He's black, bro. Have you
He's
seen
not.
his father? His father is a direct descendant of slaves.
Yes, but not him. He's
He
half.
is.
He's half. He's half. If we're drafting, I'm drafting Mahomes to the white side. You can't draft him into the black side.
If you look at Joy Taylor's profile on her bio, it says that she is an African American woman.
Yes, because she prefers African American men.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not yours.
I'm just saying. Earl Watson, Emmanuel Acho. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But anyways, stop pulling these people to the black side or the white side. Let's just keep them in the middle. You half and half. You half and half.
You can be half and half and still identify. You can say if a half Latino, half black person goes into the world, people are going to look at them and say, okay, you're mixed, but like, what do you may have been mixed and been raised with one parent. So what do you say to somebody
raised with one parent? What kind of race is this, CJ?
Shut up. This is a reality of a situation. If you're raised with one parent and that parent was black, how you not identify with the other? You don't know. I know so many cases, and it's anecdotal, but I know so many cases of my mixed friends who were raised by one parent, black or not, who identify with the culture that they were raised with. You just can't do. If you're half this, half that, you can identify with both. You can say I'm black and this, or I'm Cuban.
You're living with Mexicans. Are you Mexican?
No.
So
what does that have to do with anything? I didn't come out of the Mexican coochie.
I'm just saying, when they're mixed, I think we should identify them with the way they look. And to me, when I see Joy Taylor, I don't think black.
That's ridiculous because society sees you as a nigga.
Joy Taylor is not a nigga.
Yes, she is.
Okay, all right. This shit, we veered away from Miss Versace, fucking Miss Fosace being a hater on Joy Taylor. But anyways,
I have one. So we're not done here because we are also a political show. We are 2 Trump supporting Republicans, and so
CJ is black though. I don't know.
I'm black. I don't know. You see,
he's black.
I'm black as hell.
He's black. He's black and motherfucker too.
But we have breaking news. Our friends to the north are getting liberated because Justin Trudeau, the Joe Biden of Canada,
he's worse than Joe Biden.
supposedly resigning. Supposedly resigning this week. What do you have to say to our friends up north?
Can you feel the change already? To make Canada great again? Can you feel that shit? How about, is he resigning because he's scared of the Godfather, Donald Trump? Are you kidding? Why is he resigning now? What happened? Do we have news on what has happened for this man to all of a sudden resign? Did Trump scare him?
So basically, the information that I have is that a few weeks ago, this is not the word for it, but the vice prime minister, who was also the Canadian equivalent of the treasury secretary, she was doing both roles. She was supposed to give a financial report, and obviously Canada's inflation is ridiculous right now. And she resigned from both her positions hours before she was supposed to deliver her report to Parliament. And then you have a lot of his secretaries visiting Mar-a-Lago on a weekly basis, having conversations with Trump. Not only that, you have a Trump-like figure, Pierre Poilievre, who is opposing Justin Trudeau in Canada and as ideologically aligned with Trump. He's a conservative, and you have him going after Trudeau's ass every day. So there's just a few things. It's just all fucked up for him right now.
Man, Trump's already making the world a better place. You're welcome, Canada. You're welcome, Canada, for what we did here in November 5th. Canada, you're
Literally.
welcome. You're fucking welcome. By the way, did you see the governor of Puerto Rico read the letter that Trump sent to her?
I absolutely did.
Did you see that? That was nice. That was heartfelt. I loved it. Go Trump, dude.
Okay. I'm glad you brought up Puerto Rico because Puerto Ricans are also revamping the wave of them becoming an independent country. And here's my issue. I have no issue with Puerto Rico becoming its own country. I have no issue with Guam or those other kind of American territories that want to go off on their own. Here's what I'm saying to all Puerto Ricans. And we have Puerto Ricans to Nobody's podcast. Click the link in the description. Eddie is a Puerto Rican. Here is my message to Puerto Ricans. If you become your own country and the lights go out, a storm comes through, anything like that, I'm expecting none of you to turn to Big Brother to the West and ask for our help, our taxpayer dollars, any of that shit. If you are so hell-bent on becoming independent, you will be economically independent, socially independent, immigrationally independent. I want you to be completely independent like the other Caribbean countries are. Do not ask us for shit. But what's your thought on that, Ralph?
Listen, I agree because any country any territory or state or whatever that wants to become independent for themselves, you have to be able to sustain your economy, and you can't because they're already struggling with a garbage issue on the island.
Right.
They have, I believe it's
1 million ton. It's 1 million ton of garbage per citizen.
Imagine that, and you can't even dispose of that now. And I know the government should actually be fucking helping with that. But imagine if the government comes in, helps you with that, and in 2 years you become independent. Who's going to help you with that 10 years down the line when you have the same issue again? And Puerto Rico, listen, I mean, you're born there, you're an American citizen. What do you need? Right. What more do you need? You'll never have an issue of ever getting invaded by anyone.
Right.
Like, what do you need? I really don't understand why it is that you would need to break up. You know, just like people here in California that think California should be its own country, or people in Texas who believe Texas should be their own country. Like, that's just stupid. It really is. We're trying to acquire land. Right. All right. We're trying to acquire Canada here. And step number 1 starts tomorrow. Right. But that's a joke for all you fucking hippie liberals. Okay. By the way, can I tell you that I dislike most Canadians?
Whoa. Canadians are known to be super nice people. Why is that?
Yeah, because they think, and listen, this is for like Europeans and Canadians. They fall into the same fucking thing. Like, they think they're better than we are. You are not better than we are. Like, you are not better than we are. You're not better than us at anything. Like, literally. The only thing you might be better than us is nothing. Not a fucking damn thing. Except for soccer, and not Canada. The European countries. But you guys are not better than we are. You guys are actually more liberal than we are, which makes you guys more fucked up than we are. England, okay?
Germany.
France, Germany. Okay, you have, in Germany, they have cities that are overtaken by, and this is 100% truth.
100%, I know what you're about to say.
They're overtaken by other ethnicities that come into their country where police won't even go.
You won't say it. I'll say it. They're overtaken by Muslims that are overtaking their entire fucking countries. It's not okay. I'm gonna jump in here.
Go ahead. Do your thing.
Because I have to jump in here because mind you, my grandmother's name is Tony Abdul Hassan. I was born a Muslim.
Oh shit.
Here was we have to get to. England and Ireland and Germany and Spain and Portugal, they are countries that are not like the United States as far as they are countries that have a religion tied to their state. They are Christian, Catholic, Orthodox Jew, They're those type of countries. Excuse me. So when you have Arab Muslims by the thousands who are immigrating from Syria and immigrating from Palestine and immigrating from all these different countries, I think that you should have a system to allow those people in. But when you have Ireland, an Irish Catholic country that has towns and entire cities and entire villages completely overtaken by Arab Muslims, there is a problem. And there is a problem that is going to arise because you're going to have the civilian population that is native to that land start to get angry, start to get violent, and start to demand that there is a mass deportation in their countries. And the only way you get that, the only way you get your country back is electing somebody like Donald J. Trump and making sure that he is keeping those countries accountable and making sure that you see Elon Musk on Twitter calling for Britain to have new elections. Like that is what it's going to take. It is going to take a global scale to rid this bullshit of this egalitarian, everybody's welcome in. There's no such thing as citizenship. There's no such thing as nationalism. Like all that bullshit is going to come to a head in a very ugly way. And I think that Europe is in a very dangerous place right now. And it is something that Americans, like you said, the best of all, said we're not standing for. Not today, not in the year of 2025. So that's what it is.
Sure. It's 100% what it is. I didn't want to say it, but you said it. I just said people. And you went on a Muslim rant, and you are part of a great solution, CJ. Thank you for that. So CJ is all for the Muslim ban, by the way. Just
all
so you
for
know
it.
that. All for it. All for it. But so listen, in a couple weeks, January 20th is my beautiful wife's birthday, as well as the national title game, as well as Trump's inauguration day, where he will be sworn in as the 47th motherfucking president of the baddest nation on the planet. There is no doubt about it. By the way, so just so you know, on that day, all the police forces, everyone's asked to come in because these lunatics are probably going to do shit. And as tomorrow is January 6th, and we know all the bullshit that's come up with that. I don't believe most of it, to be honest with you. I'm one of those people because Republicans don't wear masks, so and we don't cover our face. So I had a lot of trouble when that happened, believing any of it. So, but anyways, that's just me. But it's going to be a great month for the nation, and everyone who believes their uncle's going to get deported. If he didn't commit a crime, he's probably not getting deported. Okay,
100%.
Don't worry about Theophilo getting deported unless he fucking has 7 DUIs, and that might be an issue. But other than that, you'll be fine. I'm almost sure of it. And you live in California, so don't worry about it. You should be okay. Don't go and hide under a church. All right. Don't go and build underground tunnels. Although let me rephrase that. Don't use the underground tunnels that have already been built to bring drugs over the border. Dude, since we were on Canada, and I forgot to bring this up, I saw it on Instagram, and I don't know if it's true. I don't think it's true. But with Canada, nothing surprises me since it's kind of like Oregon and Washington, the state of Washington, the worst state of the 50. And there's no doubt about it. It's disgusting. I hate it. But there is something on Instagram that said that there is some sort of law passing. I can't believe this to be true, but I'm just going to say it anyways. 10-year-olds being able to use fentanyl. Did you see that?
No.
That shit can't be real. It can't be real. It had to be. It had to be a thing. I'm gonna find. When I see it, I'm gonna find it.
I have seen people in the UK be getting arrested for social media posts. The UK police just came out to American citizens and said, "We will come after you if you post stuff that's against our social media." I wish for the love of God that the United Kingdom, for the third time, would try this. Like, do you not know fucking history? Like, read a history book. You guys tried this shit already. It doesn't work. We kicked your ass once. We kicked your ass twice, and we'll do it again. Like, I don't understand the UK and the police chief coming out and saying he'll come. We have guns in this country. Unlike you, we don't stab people. We shoot people. And so if you come over here with the bullshit, we'll shoot you. And that's simple as that.
Yeah, the Europeans, bro, they're like the Canadians. This is why I don't like Canadians. So, like a month ago, what was it? Like a month ago, it might have been a month ago or two. We're golfing over at Sand Canyon, what's it called? Sand Canyon Country Club. Although it's not a country club, but they want to be one, but they're not one. But anyways, a beautiful golf course, a beautiful place. Anyway, so we're playing. And there's this guy, Canadian guy, and he's fucking just hammered. And Ralphie's wearing a Trump hat. And he goes, "Oh, dude, that hat, man. I feel so sorry for you guys." And I said, "You guys?" I said, "Congratulations. It's the new president-elect." He goes, "Oh, no, I'm Canadian." I said,
Oh,
"Oh,
gosh.
I'm sorry for you.
For you.
Fucked. You're fucked." And he goes, "Oh, no. You guys are crazy." I said, "Do you live here?" He goes, Yeah, I live here." Why the fuck don't you live there? Like,
I wonder why.
why don't you live there?
I don't get immigrants who come to this country and say their country is better than America.
100%. The immigrants who come here and say that their country's better, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, just go back. Like, seriously, just go back. Oh, it's because this place is better. Then what are you doing here? Just go back. So, like, it makes no sense. But that's one of the reasons I hate Canadians. That and the like the way they talk, the kids talk, their slang is like it's bad.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I don't like it. You're talking about that Saskatchewan accent.
I'm talking about that Toronto fucking accent that these motherfuckers think is cool. Oh, you shut the fuck up. Dude, speak French or speak English. Like,
it's other than that, motherfucker. One of the two.
One of the two. Like, learn how to speak Creole. I don't know. Figure it out. But anyways, so that touches on all our politics for the week. We touched on NFL. The NBA. I want to touch real quick on the NBA.
Go ahead.
Listen, I know a lot of people. The NBA. The product is no good because the teams are shooting a lot of threes and this and that. When you look at the scores, like most of the scores, for the most part, don't tell you that these guys shoot, that they're making a lot of threes. And I know there's teams, that are going to shoot 40, 50, 60 threes. Dude, I was watching a game the other day. Sixers and the Kings, Philly in Sacramento. Kings are up, Philly's up 107-98. No Embiid, but Paul George is in the game. Tyrese Maxey's playing. Lowry. They're up 9 with 3:35 left in the game. And so Paul George scores, makes it 107-98. De'Aaron Fox comes down, I think hits a layup or a short jumper, 107-100. And Philly calls a timeout right away. Nick Nurse, who I think is one of the best coaches in the NBA, at least top 10 or 12, calls a timeout right away. So he calls that timeout, and I felt like, all right, fine. You called a timeout because De'Aaron Fox, that bucket was a little too easy. So now all of a sudden it's 107-100 with the 309 left, maybe somewhere in there, right? And so you call a timeout, you go down, you don't get a bucket. Sacramento comes down, they miss a shot, you get the ball back. Philly doesn't score. Sacramento now scores. Sacramento brings the game to 107. I think it's 107-105. Nick Nurse still doesn't call a timeout. He went almost 3 minutes of gameplay without calling a timeout. And when he called a timeout, he was down 109-107. The mistake there is not stopping the run by calling a timeout, which he didn't do. That is the problem with the NBA. The problem, and I know a lot of the guys, the old school guys, they want to see the ball go down into the paint, back it down. The other thing is they don't run plays. Like with the exception of probably the Warriors and a handful of other teams, maybe Boston, like the NBA, the play calling, like it's really not there for the most part of these, most of these games. Like it's really not. Denver also does a really good job moving without the ball. But these other teams, it's like, dude, 2 guys in a corner, this and that. That's the bad part of the NBA that we don't like. The threes don't matter if the guys are wide open. But if
can I ask you a question though for a second?
Ahead. Yeah.
So I'm obviously no NBA fan. I'm on the train of the shit sucks. But to answer your question, when I watch an NBA game, and to your point of the threes, I see that, and I agree with you. There is no play calling. That there is no get in a set, run a motion. Come on, like there's no. It's just motion pretty much. They're just running in motion and seeing who can get open off screens. But the 3-point the 3-point shot and the love for it is almost like the reason I don't feel like they're getting into sets because they're just looking for the best 3-point option and not the best option on the floor. Like I just see guys running off of off-ball screens to get a 3-pointer, whereas I feel like, 10, 15, 20 years ago, you would have saw a set getting down the court, run a set, and then a three may come out of it. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, no, it's 100%. You're 100% right. The problem is that they're running these offenses because the coaching. That's what the coaches are running. That's making the coaches that makes the coaches not fucking good. Is what it is at the end of the day.
So you're saying
Like
3-point shot is killing coaching?
well, the coaches are implementing that. Like
Okay.
when you watch a game, and I watch it this year, I haven't watched as many because the product has been really bad. It has. I mean, it's just I hate to just watch guys. I cannot stand teams who don't know how to run a fast break. Like, dude, you learn how to run a fast break at 6 years old.
Yep.
You played basketball. You that's what you ran. You learned how to run fast breaks. That was part of practice every day. Bounce, pass, bounce, etc. And especially 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s. With 2-on-1s where one guy's running into the corner. Bro, this is a layup. We're getting a layup or a dunk here. What are we doing? And that's what that falls on coaching. Like I know what the Warriors did, and everybody fell in love with that. When the Warriors started doing that, they have the greatest shooter of all time, and Klay Thompson, one of the 3 or 4 best shooters of all time. They had Harrison Barnes who could shoot the 3. They had plenty of guys who could shoot the 3. Okay, and by the way, when that team first got off and going, it was with Monte Ellis and Steph. And Monte Ellis was not Monte Ellis was I'm driving to the basket, more of a Russell Westbrook type player. Never as good as Russell Westbrook. I'm not saying that. But it was that style. And Russell Westbrook fits more in the old style of the NBA than the new one. And they've forced him onto the new one, which is why people think that he's an absolute shit player. But when you watch him 6, 7, 8 years ago, he was not that. And to me, Russell Westbrook's one of the players that can play in any generation because of the way he plays the game. So, but when you're watching this NBA, the coaching is just it's terrible. It's just bad to see. I don't mind the guys moving and this and that, but the pick and roll is completely gone unless you're Denver and maybe Philly. And I don't want to see a 7-foot Joel Embiid settle for 3-pointers or for fucking 20-footers or for 18-footers. I don't want to see that because at the end of the day, it has shown you that it's not a recipe for success. It's really not. So when you come down and watch the actual games, yes, they shoot. Most of the teams shoot a ton of threes but it's not why the NBA is shit. The NBA is shit because of everything else that goes along with it. The coaching is allowing these guys to shoot the 3, and they should not be coaching in this way. You're not the Warriors. You're really not. Like, you can try and get all the shooters that you want. You will never have that type. And even then, when it came down to it, the Warriors run a lot of movement, a lot of off-ball screens. They move. These other teams don't do that. Not the way the Warriors do it. Not the way the Nuggets manage to do it. And the Nuggets don't shoot half as many threes as most of the other teams. And that's why they're more successful in the last 3 years than most of the other NBA teams. So the product is terrible. Yes. The players have more ability than they ever have had before. There's no doubt about it. There's better shooters. We have guys that are 7 feet that can shoot the 3. That's fine that you can shoot it. You shouldn't always shoot it. Bottom line. And I know, they go by, 35, if you make 35% of threes, it's, better than making 48% of your twos. Well, back in the day when not that far long ago, but bigs shot 54, 55%. Now it's hard to find a big that's shooting 54, 55% from the field because they're not fucking 3, 4, 5, 6 feet from the basket. They're 15, 20, 25 feet from the basket when they touch the basketball. So I think it's on the coaching more than it is on the players. The coaches at the end of the day coach their system, and it seems that they all want their system to be like the Warriors system and just jack up a bunch of threes and jack up a bunch of threes. And that is it's just bad to watch. It really is. Because that game, 107-100, dude, where were the threes at? Like, even if you shot the 3 at 35% and you shot 50 of them, you'd have more than 100 points. So it's not all on the threes, but it is. I put it a lot of the blame, probably about 80% of the blame on the head coaches, on the assistant coaches, the game plan, the plays you're running, this whatever you want to call it. It's all bad. It is all bad, and a lot of people don't want to believe the other part of it, which is what I believe. Also has a big part of it is the woke part of it, where people, it's not that because the NFL went woke. The difference with the NFL is that the NFL is once a week, so and nobody cares. You see end racism in the end zone, like you have end racism when 85% of the guys in the NFL are black and they're making millions of dollars, right, or whatever the percentage is. Like, great, wonderful. Like nobody cares. In the NBA, it's like the whole month of February, we're doing this.
Yep.
So and so died. We're putting that last name on it. Like, it's just too much, and that is a big part of why people don't watch. Whether you want to believe it or not, that's a big part of why people don't watch. I believe that because you're
100%.
alienating half of the country when you
Right.
do shit like that. Like nobody cares about those issues because you're an athlete. And at the end of the day, we understand you have a platform and this and that, but do something with your money and help those problems. And we
Right.
don't need to know about it. Be a
Right.
philanthropist. We don't need to know about it.
100%.
But we got to have your bullshit, and that's the thing. And people don't want to believe that, but I strongly believe that because I'll tell you, when Colin Kaepernick started kneeling and everybody started kneeling, I missed that whole NFL season. That NBA in the bubble where the guys are kneeling and wearing fucking shirts and this and that, I missed that whole thing. Like, I didn't watch that. And the NBA is my favorite sport to watch. It really was. And I stopped watching it. My favorite day was Christmas Day, NBA on Christmas Day. That's everyone in my family knows that day was like, I'm watching NBA on that day. And now, since all of that shit happened, because I could give 3 fucks about your opinion on any of that. I really don't. I pay for you to play basketball.
Yes.
And your opinion, I could give 3 fucks about your opinion because you
I
don't
did.
relate to me on a day to day.
I disagree with Laura Ingraham when she told LeBron to shut up and dribble, but maybe she was right because these motherfuckers they don't dribble. They just talk. And I love LeBron. I think he is the greatest basketball player of all time, but I do put a lot of blame on him because he's responsible off the court for a lot of this shit. Like he's responsible for a lot of the woke, NBA's gone woke in the racial. We're gonna focus on George Floyd and all. I think he's been responsible, and I think it's going to take a figure like him. And he's shown flashes of the fact that he's not completely bought, but it's going to take a player like him to go, hey, we're going to go back to how we used to be. And we're going to go back to not alienating half of our viewership. And we're going to go back to playing basketball and not being celebrities who try to tell half of America about how racist America is. Like nobody wants to hear all that shit. We want to see you be the greatest basketball player of all time.
Yeah, and that's the thing that people in the NBA, since whatever the huge percent, now we have a bunch of European players, but the
Right.
majority of the percentage of the NBA, the greatest players of all time, they're all black, right? With the exception of Larry Bird, but
Right.
they're all black. So for them in their community and their popularity, for them to come out and not say something like that, or not say something on those things, and then you have people like Ryan Clark or all other black celebrities and shit like that. Oh, how could LeBron not come out and speak on this? And he has,
Yep.
it's like, dude, listen. At the end of the day, you play sport and you've done a great job with your school or whatever. You opened a school. That's it. We don't want to hear any of that other shit. I really don't, because you cannot relate to a day-to-day of any person that doesn't make the amount of money that you do.
Right.
That is the difference, and that's what people don't understand. And when you speak out, will never have an NBA figure. And on top of that, the NBA, who takes the most money from China, a country that is communist as fuck, that has slaves still to this day.
Yep.
And why? But you take their money. Why don't you speak out about them? Because you cannot. You can't speak out.
I have there was somebody made a good point on social media, and they said it's going to take NFL, you see the Nick Bosa's of the world. They'll come out with their Trump hat, and you see a bunch of players doing the Trump dance. And so it lets half of the country know, oh shit, the NFL is not where we thought it was. Like there's guys, black dudes, Fred Warner was doing the Trump dance, who who agree with us on some things outside of football. It's not just one echo chamber of thought. I think it's going to take, my point is, I think it's going to take a hard Trump supporting NBA player who can kind of come out and take that initial blow of pushback against the rest of the NBA, who can say, hey, I'm a good NBA player. I'm a top 20 NBA player right now, top 25 NBA player right now. And I am a out Trump supporter. I am an out Republican. I'm an out conservative. It's going to take one of those guys who, it's going to have to be a top guy. Like it can't be a Grayson Allen type of dude. It has to be a top dude. What do you think? What do you think about that?
The thing is, the difference with for example the NFL compared to the NBA, that the NFL you can be a 6'1" black dude, you wear a helmet every week to play a sport, right? You could be a 6'1" black guy walking through a casino in Las Vegas, and nobody will think that you're an athlete. When you see a 6'7" or 6'8" black guy, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, any one of those guys, they'll be picked out anywhere in the world. You Fred Warner can walk in through a Target, and if he's not in San Francisco, nobody will probably think that he's an NFL player. So for them, their popularity and NFL players' popularity, at least not Nick Bosa, and they're great players, but Nick Bosa is not a LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, any of those guys. All those guys, Giannis, Lillard, all those guys are more recognizable than an NFL player. Gotcha. So an NFL player, I feel like they can put their business all out there. At the end of the day, they only play 17 games once a week. They got a helmet on, right? So it's not like, you're not really seeing their face for an entirety of a game. When I'm watching a Laker game, I see LeBron James for 48 minutes because the time he's on the bench, the camera's on his ass too. Right. So you can always pick out an NBA player. You can pick out 50 NBA players before you probably pick out 3 NFL players. That's just so that's a difference. And in the NBA, it's more of a you thing. In the NFL, it's more of the league, it's more of the team, and in the NBA, it's just basically you. Right. It's because Jonathan Isaac for the Orlando Magic, when he decided not to kneel in the bubble, right? He didn't take a knee. I mean, Jonathan Isaac is not average. He's an average NBA player. But he's if you had Kevin Durant do that, then it'd be different, right? Yeah. But it was Jonathan Isaac, so it's not like oh, okay, and so and the NBA is so kind of they're like an echo chamber. Well, and they're interlocked with the hip hop community. Yes, I think it goes hand in hand. And the NFL's the NFL's different, as is Major League Baseball. They're just not interlocked with NBA is the hip hop.
Yeah, I mean, who's on the sidelines? Fucking Chance the Rapper and all these other different,
right? All these other guys. So that's a whole image thing, right? And so at the end of the day, most of the popular people in this country are they lean towards the left because it's the popular thing to do. Yeah. It just is what it is, and you don't have to be a Trump supporter, but don't lean as far left as you think. Don't lean that far left is what it is, and they always will, because at the end of the day, the majority of the people in this country, whether we want to believe it or not, are Democrats.
A liberal, 100%.
Yeah. So, but that is my NBA chat of the day. I just wanted to bring up that game because that game really bothered me. The way that played out there, like you should never blow a 9-point lead that late in the game and you didn't get any buckets. That was the thing. You didn't get any buckets and you didn't call a timeout for almost 3 minutes. When you're a championship winning head coach, that's the thing. You've won a title before, and you know better than that. And you have experienced players. You have Kyle Lowry who's been in the league forever. You have Maxey, who's one of the best point guards in the league. You have Paul George, who's one of the 15 or 20 best players in the league. Maybe not this year, but he has been. And for you to blow a lead like that, not call a timeout, I think it was bad. And I think that's what's wrong with the league. I think it's a lot of the coaching. The coaching, in my opinion, is what's wrong with the NBA. It's leading to all the 3-point shots. And if they don't fix that, start changing it up, and stop getting these dorks who think the analytics and this and that, because the analytics in the NFL are just ridiculous. 4th and 2, yes, ESPN analytics said it's a must go. Motherfucker, it's not a must go. You're down 9. You need a field goal at some point. So kick a field goal. Like that is just, there's certain things that just make it, for all the sports, that it's just hard to watch because these analytics are taking in. You saw it with the Dodgers with Dave Roberts some years back. Oh yeah, this, that, like the analytics shit is just, at the end of the day, it's some fucking computer nerd who probably doesn't even watch the fucking games.
Exactly.
Who's putting this shit together? Because and I'm tired of the NFL. Some of these teams don't take field goals. It's like, for you to not to take a 35-yarder on 4th and 4 or 4th and 5. Like, I understand 4th and 1, let's fucking go for it. And 4th and 2, 4th and 3, that's tougher for me. I know the Lions today scored a 10-9 and they ended up going for it 4th and 2 and score a touchdown. Today I'm watching the Lions game, 4th and 1, and they end up running a fucking play action and ball gets batted at the line. Guy was open 15 yards down the field. But on 4th and 1, even Tirico was like, "Oh my god!" It's the ball that's different. That's more ballsy a decision. But some of the decisions on 4th and 2, 4th and 3, not to kick and take the points, I think at the end of the day, it's affecting a lot of these teams. It really is. So
100%. But all right, man. Is there anything else you want to hit on? Because that's all I got for you.
Oh, one more thing. I wanted to hit
Go
on
ahead,
this.
man.
Listen, man, I've been playing golf for like 7-8 months. It's the greatest thing. It's the greatest thing on the planet. And so I have one complaint, though. I have one complaint. The time change here, if you play in LA, and I play at a lot of different courses, like a bunch, right? And I play at some city courses like Hanson Dam, played at Santa Anita, Rio Hondo, shit like that. Dude, I know that people want to walk, and you should walk, but you should not be allowed to walk the course after 12 o'clock. You let, and people might get offended, but I'm going to say it anyways. You let some of these Asian people go out there and walk, okay, with their wives, and then you got so it's like 2 couples. It's a husband and a wife, and 2 husbands and wives, and they're walking this course, and they're teeing off at 12:10, and you're teeing off at 12:20. Guess what we're not doing? We're not finishing the fucking round in 4 hours because they're fucking walking. There should be no walking when in the winter season for golf after 12 o'clock because nobody's going to finish. Everyone who tees off after that group that's walking is never fucking finishing, ever. Ever. I had this issue at Rio Hondo. I had this issue at Santa Anita 3 fucking times at Santa Anita. Never going back there again, you fucking shit show. Fucking Hanson Dam. Never had that issue. But you go to a place like Sand Canyon where it's kind of in the mountains, nobody's walking that shit. Because you got to go up a hill, down a hill, up. And nobody's walking that shit. And listen, I know those courses cost $50-$60 to play. You go to Sand Canyon, it's $90, right? So less people are going to play there, which is better. But you kind of get tired of playing at the same places all the time. So, and it's mostly the Asians, man. It really is. I don't understand it because they're pretty good. They're pretty good golfers. I played with a husband and wife today, Asian couple from LA who came out to Sand Canyon to play today. We teed off at 150. We figured out we'd get 12 or 13 in. We only ended up getting 9 in because 2 groups in front of them. There was an Asian couple with 3 ladies. It was a husband and wife and 2 other ladies. And these ladies decided to play from the blue tees when the women clearly play from the yellow or the red. And you backed up the whole shit. I'm sorry. And Asian people, and I'm not talking about Asian American people, I'm talking about the Asians. The Asians that barely speak English, those Asians, those are the Asians that fuck up the golf course. They really do. In the wintertime, there should be a thing, no walking after 12, or maybe no Asians after 12. I don't know. That might be fucked up. But, dude, it's brutal to go out there at 12 o'clock. And, if we're a foursome and paying $300 to play and you don't get to finish, because there's a little lady who taking multiple shots and multiple shots, and then she's walking to the fucking ball at 3:45 in the afternoon, and you're barely on hole 12. Like, it's brutal to watch. It really is, and sit behind them. And then you try and pass them, and then you get to another group that's fucking walking like those morons. Go and walk in the morning. Go and pay for the cart in the afternoon, please. Please, I ask you this as a golfer who golfs in LA in some of these courses. And you know, everybody's going to say, oh, just go to the other courses. Yes, bro, but it's LA, the traffic. You go and play, and go and try and play out there an hour from your house or 50 miles from your house and finish at 4:30. Guess what time you're getting home? Fucking 7:30. Because it takes forever. So that is just my take. I just wanted to rant about that. But it's all bad. But we'll get you on the golf course one day, CJ. Blacks do play golf. Just so you know
It will be a Rafa sponsored event. From the fucking time I wake up to the time I go to sleep, it will be a Rafa sponsored event if that ever comes to fruition. But that is our episode.
Thank you for tuning in to Yappin. Check us out next week. And by the way, we will be live on Wednesdays. Two Nobodies podcast live on YouTube, 6 p.m. Pacific. College football, which should be over very soon. But check us out every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live on Instagram, live on YouTube. And check out KUTT, KUTT. Download the app, code word Yappin. You'll see it here at the bottom of the screen. Put in that code for a 10% bonus on your first deposit. You bet against your friends. You can bet against other people who are there. They put in the bets. You can adjust the lines as you want to bet on whatever you want. You want to bet on Diddy killing himself or killing himself. You can do that as well. You can bet on the Oscars, the Golden Globe. You make up whatever you want. They'll put it in for you and take care of you. KUTT, KUTT is the app.
We'll see y'all later.